I'm great. And speaking of a league in disarray, our resident podcast fact checker slash fun fact finder, as many of you know, the Powerball of 2.04 billion dollars was won yesterday, and it was at a gas station in California. Can anyone guess, Joe? Can you guess the name of the NFL player whose father-in-law owns that gas station? That's right. Done with Todd Paco, everyone. For all those people who are really wondering about what was whose gas station it was, I know I was definitely very curious. But yeah, so you're not going to hear about it on every podcast. A lot of people are just going to go through and just assume it was a random gas station in California, but it was Don Todd Paco's father-in-law's random gas station. Yeah, I'm just gonna say if we won $2 billion, the special effects on this podcast would get much crazier. We're talking like full CGI. I think I would just like live update my attempts to buy NFL teams at that point. Like just the bottom barrel teams, like the Bengals. Like I don't know what I need to do, but like if I got like $2 billion, I mean, I'm just gonna be like, what's it gonna take, guys? I just want 50. I want 50%. You can still throw Paul Brown stadium. You can throw Paul Brown all over that stadium. I don't even care. I just want half to say. And they could use that $1 billion I invested to help pay the players. Think about it. It's a win-win. Yes, well, over time, because everyone knows, just like we know Noah Tom Echo's father-in-law's gas station. We all know that you have to think, I believe it's 65% of any guaranteed money you have to put in escrow. So who doesn't have a lot of cash? The Bengals. Who would suddenly be flushed with a lot of cash? Me. So I mean, everyone thinks people who talk about sports are dumb. Reality, we're some of the smartest people. We're talking about escrow accounts. We're talking about how much money down. I mean, are we buying a house or are we, signing an NFL contract? I don't know. Do you think you're dumber or smarter than the average bear? And in this case, I mean a literal bear. Got it. What about the Berenstein Bears? What about the Bernstein Bears? Ah, okay. Yeah, Eagles kind of just decided to run the ball because it was just too easy after they watched Derrick Henry do it the week before, and they were just like, let's just get out of here without injuring anybody. So they did that and accomplished that pretty well. So yeah, easy. Not much to recap. Right. It was a lot of where the hell has this been all season? Um, Somehow they don't have Jamar Chase, so you think a team would be able to key in better on the Bengals offense. The Bengals are down their top corner for the season, and left with Eli Apple, who's recovering from a hamstring, Cameron Terra who played half a game in Cleveland, and Dax Hill is a rookie who doesn't play cornerback that's going to get thrown in there, and Jalen Davis, who I barely remember was on the team. Um, but somehow the Panthers couldn't key in on any of that. Joe Mixon was just running the ball under center, and that offensive line for the Bengals just mauled people. I don't know if that's the key. Maybe they just have looked so bad because they're always pass blocking. But I mean, it was fun to watch them run the ball. It was fun to watch Joe Mixon look like a serviceable running back in the NFL. And by serviceable, I mean absolutely fantastic. I mean, if he had put on half a performance, I would have been happy. So good for him. Great for the Bengals. This is really important to them. If they can establish that they can be multidimensional and be threatening from multiple ways, they can pass the ball for 400 yards. If they can run the ball for 200 yards. When you're a team that has weapons like that, as we've seen, we knew they had, but they haven't been able to use them effectively. If they can basically at any point in the game do this and like transition from one to the other, they're going to be absolutely dangerous out there. If they can go for one drive and just air it out, and another drive they just start pounding it down your throat, the defense won't be able to adjust because they can do anything they want, and that'll be huge in a stretch run that's going to be pretty difficult once they come back from that bye. Yeah, I mean, the Chargers have been a weird team this year. They've been very inconsistent, and they haven't been able to really close out close games. And it's just they've been getting kind of lucky at times. And they are one of the teams that have all the talent to be where they are at 6-3. Um, or I believe it's they're 5-3 now because of the bye. Um, but I mean, they really haven't played like a team that should be this well off this way through the season. So they actually like turn it on and they're able to execute at a high level that we know they have the talent to do, with or without Mike Williams, obviously, who's down with a high ankle sprain for a couple weeks. Um, the sky's really the limit with this team. It's really going to be down to if they play the Chiefs again, what's that going to show us? We'll get to that a little bit later as well. But yeah, there's a lot of things that this Chargers team should be doing a lot better than they have. And I mean, a win's a win in the NFL, but I need to see a lot more for them to consider that they are going to be any kind of force in this playoff picture. Tuon's here to stay, I guess. Yeah, the Dolphins have had a great season so far. I mean, without Tua, they had those two bad games. Without that, outside that, Tua completes the game, they win it, and I mean, that's a stat. That's all the stats you really need. Besides that, he's both his tandem of receivers, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, are absolutely killing it. They're both going to be over 1,000-yard receivers, and a lot more than that. Tyreek Hill might get 2,000 yards at this rate. Um, I mean, it's an absolutely great start to the season for them. Mike McDaniel has done wonders with that offense and with Tua. The defense, they got Bradley Chubb last week, so his effect will start probably being noticed more and more as the weeks go by. So yeah, I mean they're a really good football team, and the Bears, they played way better than anyone would have expected, and they finally did what we've been begging them to do since they drafted Justin Fields: is use him like a running quarterback that has legs and has to be threatening with those at all times. There's no reason to try to make Justin Fields a pocket quarterback. It doesn't make any sense. It's like telling Lamar Jackson he can't run out of the pocket either. It does. You have a unique talent that most quarterbacks do not have, which is the ability to run, a 4-4 basically around the field and just outrun people for first down because they put a spy linebacker on you. You run a 4-4. I mean, you're definitely making that first down. You make him miss, that's 30, 40 yards. And we saw with Justin Fields multiple times in this game. Obviously, I think he may not come back down to earth here soon because more people are probably going to start spying him and kind of treating him more as that mobile quarterback and trying to keep him in the pocket. But if teams, really just thought he wasn't any good, they really haven't even accounted for that. And the Dolphins defense suffered because of it. And it honestly was a really good game, good back and forth. And, Tua was able to pull it out. Yeah, I think it might be time to start the tank job. As much as it pains me to say it, I mean, they lost to the Lions, and they lost to a Lions team that really didn't put up many points, 15 points. You have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, and you put up, what was it, 9 points? I mean, I know a lot of people got hurt, but I mean, you can work with next to nothing if you're supposed to be someone of his caliber and be able to get, 2 touchdowns. But he really struggled, and the Lions didn't put together a masterful performance either. So I mean, it's just a real shame. I mean, their season's done. There's nobody. I don't care how diehard of a Packers fan you are. You can't convince me that there's any way to put this team back together, especially considering all the injuries. They're not going to get a receiver off the street. Some people are like they should sign OBJ, and I'm like OBJ will not go to this team. OJ, I don't care how much money you throw at him right now. He's not going to take it because he knows his team's a dumpster fire that has nothing at receiver, and they're just unable to do anything, and they're falling further and further behind in the playoff race. So at this point, I'd say, maybe they start tanking, but they seem to be doing that regardless because they can't beat, below average teams in the NFC. So yeah, things are not looking great for the Packers. Lions, maybe Dan Campbell just saved his job. I don't know. Like, it's good to see him get a win. It wasn't a super effective win. The offense really went quiet, and defense luckily stepped up for him. But other than that, it wasn't a great win. It was an ugly win, but it gets the job done. Yeah, it's just the most confusing thing I've ever seen. And Jim Irsay is just, I don't know what's going on with that man, but I think he's losing it. Like, and nobody is there to just talk him out of it anymore. He wants to win, and I mean, I don't understand how this move in any way says they're going to win. I mean, firing Frank Wright, that's fine. They've done nothing for years now. But promote one of the assistants, the assistant head coach, somebody on in the organization to interim head coach. Find somebody off the street that's somehow not on a coaching staff in the NFL that could coach your team for a couple weeks. But to find Jeff Saturday, who's your all-star center from 10 years ago, is just the most confusing move of all time. It's like if you just literally threw a dart in your ring of honor and just went, "All right, this guy's going to be the new head coach of our team." It's like a publicity stunt. It honestly sounds like the plot to like a terrible yet great, sports comedy that is yet to be written. So maybe Jim Irsay's just trying to, sell the rights to this afterwards. Maybe it's a long-term thing. Yeah, Jeff Saturday is an ESPN analyst. He's a center, and it's a lot for a guy who played offensive line in the NFL to suddenly become head coach of a team. And I don't know if that just means he's going to be purely motivational. Um, who they picked to be the play caller is also someone extremely inexperienced. So this just seems like an absolute mess. It'd be one thing if maybe you put Jeff Saturday in and just be a motivator, which I don't understand how he's going to motivate a team he hasn't been around other than just go, I was Jeff Saturday and I was the center for Peyton Manning and I was on ESPN. Um, I kind of wish that Hard Knocks for the Colts midseason was this year because this is some shit I want to see. Because I have no idea how on earth any of this is going to go over. Um, Other big thing, do you think Jeff Saturday wears a little guy liner? His lashes are a little long. Have you ever noticed this? Like, I've seen him on ESPN a couple times, like, man, this man's eyelash, like, they're very noticeable, and, like, it's weird, yeah, and I'm like, I'm not trying to notice it, it's just there. It's just like, what is going on? It's like Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, like, he always kinda looks like he's got some kind of, like, eyeshadow on, it's hard to tell. Um, and it's the smoky eye, man. Smoky eye really got him there. So, I mean, good for him, I guess. Not sure, again, how this coaching search went down. Except for, I mean, Jim Irsay just decided to call Jeff Saturday, and he's like, I don't know who I'm going to get the call to coach the Colts. He's like, yeah, I mean, it'd be crazy. It'd be like if I did it. And he's like, oh, you want to run the Colts? Sure, it's yours. And then hung up the phone. Um, but yeah, this is an absolute disaster. If you're a Colts fan, I am sorry for what probably you're going to have to experience for the rest of the season because I mean, this is going to be painful. Um, I mean, I've just never seen there is nothing quite like it. I don't think there's any correlation. Like, what do you think in another major sport is the closest correlation to something like this happening? It's true. It kind of reminds me of Little Big League, but instead of the owner's grandson, it's the former center of the Colts. Um, Ah, exactly. It'd be one thing if like Rex Ryan magically was asked to be the head coach of a team. At least then I'd be like, that guy's coached in the NFL multiple times. Like that makes sense. Even if like Tony Romo or somebody who just like has a really good grasp of the game, or maybe the Colts. There was only like somebody who was really good, like all-time Colt that probably has a pretty good grasp of offensive strategy and things like that, like Peyton Manning or someone. That'd probably make more sense. But yeah, Jeff Saturday, like he's all the respect in the world. He's an All-Pro center, absolutely great career with the Colts. One of the best centers in my lifetime. But that doesn't mean you should suddenly just become the NFL head coach without any experience. People work, like, it's kind of almost insulting because people kind of work their whole life to get a shot to be an NFL head coach. And Jim Irsay just like straight up, I don't even know. Like, did Jeff Saturday call him? Did he call Jeff Saturday? Like, how did this coaching search go down? Like, Jim Irsay really hasn't said much about it. And I'm just really confused how this happened because, like, there's a whole. I mean, what's Chris Ballard doing? Chris Ballard still has his job as GM, right? It's like, what is his input while this shit's going on? Like, I'm sure he's probably just like standing in the corner, just hoping not to get fired. But at a certain point, you might as well just be like, I'm just gonna quit, man. Like, you just made like our center from 10 years ago become the head coach. Like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I don't want to be judged on what happens on the field based off of what happens with a person who's literally never been an NFL head coach or had any kind of college NFL coaching job of any kind. They do. I mean, sure, Josh Allen got hurt, but I mean, the Jets. You went in this game. You said the Jets have no shot. That's what we thought. I mean, Sauce Gardner played out of his mind again. He's played out of his mind as a rookie in a way I never thought would be possible for a rookie cornerback to play, especially coming out of a non-power five conference. Even if I know how good he was at Cincinnati, but for somebody who barely got thrown to at UC because there were just so many other people who weren't as talented as him, so why even challenge him? For a guy who basically barely got challenged for an entire year and step in the NFL with that pro caliber level of players and just step in like this is crazy. This is like Daryl Reeves style cornerback take the league by storm. That's how good he has been so far. Jalen Ramsey, like that's the kind of cornerback play he has played from the get-go here. And that's huge. And the Jets are really feeding off of it. Johnson, their rookie defensive lineman they took, defensive end rush linebacker, he's come on the last couple games. You just have people producing. Yeah, Denzel Mims coming back. It seems like from the grave of like a you know early career cut too short because he just couldn't get on the field. He's producing a little bit more now. Yeah, do I want to see more out of Zach Wilson? Absolutely. I still not doing very well by any advanced metric, but they're winning games. The running game's working. Michael Carter had a good game. I mean, they believe in themselves. You have that swagger going to every game. You can be in any game. It's just that simple. Bills, this is a scary injury if you're Josh Allen because it's not an injury that necessarily just heals, and there's no real exact timetable for how it will heal and how well it will heal. And it's a kind of injury you can easily re-aggravate as well, from what I've been reading up. Not a medical doctor, but that's what I've been reading about an injury like this. It's a similar kind of injury to, if you're a Bengals fan, what Carson Palmer had in 2009, where basically he never got put on IR. He hurt his elbow. It was a UCL, sprain, slight tear, and basically he was week to week the entire season, and then they finally just shut him down. Is that going to happen with Josh Allen? No, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but this is the kind of injury it is. It's hard to predict, and it's not one that's just guaranteed, 2-3 weeks, it'll heal up, you'll be good to go. These soft tissue injuries, especially in a throwing arm, it can be devastating, especially to a guy whose arm strength is such a big part of his game and his mobility and, the ability to just toss the ball on a whim. He's going to feel that the rest of the season. Whether, it's healed enough where he's okay to play, it's going to get sore. He's going to feel it in these games. And the question is, how much is that going to affect his accuracy downfield? How much is that going to affect the zip he puts on the ball, play in, play out? So I'm with you. I mean, they should rest him and try to get that thing as healed as they possibly can. Because, just throwing him back in there to win a couple games and get home field advantage isn't going to matter if Josh Allen's arm is shot by the time they get to the playoffs. Because that can happen too. Like the injuries like that, you can aggravate them worse and worse if you don't fully heal them. It's, like a hamstring. Keenan Allen's been out for pretty much the entire NFL season with a hamstring injury. And, this is basically it's same kind of ligament in your arm and your elbows that would be like, the soft tissue in your legs for running back or any, the skill position guys. They're lingering injuries that don't necessarily heal up really fast. And if you just force somebody into it, it could get ugly. No, it's just one of those teams. You're right. They have been one of the least talked about teams because it feels like every week they're barely playing anybody. Like it just seems like they play some random phantom team in the NFC because the NFC is so depleted at this point that he plays these teams at 1 o'clock. Kirk Cousins plays really well. Dalvin Cook runs all over him, and that's the end of the game. So there's really not that much to write about other than they beat up on another bad team. And they don't really do it in a super convincing way, and it's not like they're doing anything absolutely astounding on offense. It's a very much establish the run with Dalvin Cook, and it's very much get the ball to Justin Jefferson anytime you can down the field. Are they going to make a deep run in the playoffs? I don't know. Like I don't really pick them against. You put them against the Seahawks in the playoffs. Do I really say the Vikings have a much better edge than the Seahawks do? The Seahawks seem to do a lot of good things on defense. They seem to have a balanced attack, just like Geno Smith. Is Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins are basically the same talent level at this point in their careers. Is there really much to say besides just a home field, edge in a game that their Vikings are really better? The Vikings aren't as good as the Eagles. We saw that. I don't think they're as good as the Cowboys. Um, outside of that, there just aren't enough. We talked about this enough. There aren't enough good NFC teams. So outside of that, you play the 49ers. I don't know. 49ers have a good defense. Their offense struggles more than the Vikings do, but Kirk Cousins could also struggle against an elite defense. So it's a toss-up, man. They could go 13 and they could do the classic Aaron Rodgers 13-3, 13-4, and then get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah, their defense is horrible. And then their offense, it can be good, but it just disappears at times. Like out of nowhere, Josh Jacobs could run for almost 200 yards, look undefeatable. Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, Devontae Adams could get almost 200 yards too. Devontae Adams had a really good game. Derek Carr could have a very good game because he has the weapons around him. But it doesn't seem to matter because the defense doesn't exist, it feels like most of the time. I haven't seen a game yet where I feel like they've held a team to under 20 points. They're just bad. That's that simple. The offense isn't good enough to carry this team, and it's just a mess. Josh McDaniels has made a team worse. He made a team worse that went to the playoffs very slimly, but with an interim head coach who's coaching special teams for them. That's what happened last year. Through all the John Gruden stuff, through all the distractions, they made the playoffs. Their only distraction now is that they somehow have a worse defense. Josh McDaniels has made the offense worse versus better. He was supposed to make them take off and make Derek Carr, show everyone that he is a really, a franchise quarterback, top 10 guy. Nothing has been shown this year to say that. And there's times where he can't even get the ball to Devontae Adams. Darren Waller's been hurt, but they were throwing a Hunter Renfrow last year. It didn't really stop them. So they suck. Josh McDaniels should just be fired at this point. I don't know why they're hanging on to him other than maybe get a higher draft pick. Probably because the Raiders don't have a lot of money and don't want to just have to pay out his contract yet. So a lot of problems, and they are just, they're just out of it. It's another team. It's just it's midway through the season. We're not seeing anything. It's time to just pack it in. If you're the Jaguars, this season's all about development, right? No one's sitting there after last year's absolute disaster. They were just hoping to have a team that they could go and have a couple wins and really build on that for next year, because that's what they're looking for. All I'm looking for is them to cover their Vegas win total, selfishly myself, and just to make sure, see Trevor Lawrence take that step to look like a good NFL quarterback. He's shown some flashes of it. There's some good parts of this team. There's a lot of young pieces on defense. The passing offense looks a lot better. Travis Etienne looks like the real deal so far this season. He is looking absolutely phenomenal since they got rid of James Robinson. And yeah, I mean, there's things to like on this Jaguars team. They're just very young, and no one's sitting around thinking that this team was going to make a ton of noise going into the season. They showed some flash early on. I was one of the first to say, they may have a shot at the AFC South, which at that point I thought they did. But since that point, they've kind of died on arrival. And, it's a team that's just, seeing what they can build on for another year. Yeah, and fun fact, the Cardinals are on Hard Knocks in season this year. So maybe we'll get to see some fun. Probably not. They'll probably try to edit all that stuff out, but maybe we'll get to see some good looks. This might be the in-season one that might be worth watching just because God, I would love to watch some meltdowns and some awkwardness, or maybe just, watch Kyler Murray live stream some of his Warzone matches. That'd be pretty cool. This coming to us, on HBO this winter. Very exciting. But yeah, this Cardinals team sucks. Like they have talent. They've got plenty of guys they've signed, a lot of young draft capital they've spent on that defense. They have Kyler Murray. They have DeAndre Hopkins. Zach Ertz is having a pretty good season, especially considering that a lot of people thought he was just, aging out. There's a lot of things to like. They still refuse to get a real running back, which is problematic. They have a good receiving core. There's a lot of guys. Rondale Moore has shown flashes. AJ Green is old now, but he was a very effective, great NFL receiver. And yeah, it's just this team it's gross. It's just absolutely in disarray at all times, and it just really starts at the quarterback and the head coaching. Probably your two biggest leaders on your team a lot of times you're going to say is your head coach and your quarterback. And both those guys' leadership qualities, I think, kind of get called into question sometimes with the way they're shouting at each other. It's the way everything just looks like, they're just not ready to compete on Sunday. They just kind of get beaten down, and then they try to use their just basically get through on just talent to win NFL games. And that's just not going to work. That's a sustainable thing. Maybe it works for a week or two, but it's just not going to work long term. They need to fix that. Other than that, the Seahawks look good. They continue to look good. Very interested to see how this team does, in the playoffs. Because could the Seahawks be a dark horse in this year's playoffs? I think so. The rookies keep playing at this level. They don't get too, in their own heads, kind of in the big show under the lights and everything. This team could play very well. And Pete Carroll has coached, the Seahawks to multiple Super Bowls. So they won't have the head coaching experience. It would really just be, can the players step up and can Geno Smith really continue to play at this level? I mean, he showed every sign points to yes, he can. Maybe it's just the basics of odds, they have enough bad drafts in a row that eventually, like, you just maybe they're just rolling the dice and, eventually, the law of averages, some of them got to pan out and they really had a great year this year. Or maybe, I don't know what caused this. I think maybe Pete Carroll had kind of a heart, kind of come to Jesus moment, as they'd say, about, what he's evaluating and what he's seeing in the NFL level because it just straight up wasn't working before. I don't know how much more input other people in Seattle had this year, but whatever happened really worked. Maybe they changed their strategy a little bit, and the dividends that they've gotten from a very early return are absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous by any measure. Like, I can't think of a team with a single draft class as rookies that has been this impactful for a team that I can recall in recent memory. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the mainstream NFL media like really upsets me sometimes when it comes to like Tom Brady, and this game was one of the basic examples. They have a basic like fourth quarter comeback against a team who was just playing very inept. Wasn't again they won the game in the single digits. Like it wasn't a big offensive battle. Wasn't this great Titanic struggle. It was just two very effectual teams you know, the Tom Brady, they can't get anything done. They have to kick a field goal in the fourth quarter, and the Rams basically give them the ball back and then play some of the softest, stupidest coverage that I've seen in a long time. They let they let Tom Brady literally complete a ball over the middle for 30 yards on this first play from scrimmage after they get the ball back. One of the basically only things they could not allow is a big play and in the middle of the field with multiple timeouts left. And they did exactly that. And from there, I mean, just more and more. The goal line play that Tom Brady scored the touchdown on. Some just absolutely terrible defense. It's just it's just so frustrating. And then everyone gives Tom Brady this mountain of credit like he's done something absolutely amazing when in reality, anybody could have made these throws. Anybody running a defense this soft deserves to lose a game and deserves to lose so badly. I mean, you go in this game, both these teams are bad. We've said it multiple times. They're both bad. They're both still bad. Tom Brady isn't back. And I mean, they're both bad football teams. They have some stars, sure. The Rams, they have Cooper Cup. Speaking of Cooper Cup, again, don't know how you like Cooper Cup. Just literally run up, almost up the entire field, and then literally cross over the entire field, and nobody does anything. The Rams have literally one weapon on their team, and his name is Cooper Cup. That is literally all they have on their entire team. They have a running game that Darrell Henderson is not good. Yeah, Cam Akers, who doesn't want to play for them, and then decides after getting traded that he might as well. Tyler Higbee's an okay tight end, and Van Jefferson's dropping passes, and Ben Skoranek is someone I've never heard of until 5 weeks ago. So, not a really great team if you're the Rams. Really not that hard to have to game plan against. Vita Vea almost crushed, I think, Matthew Stafford's lungs at one point. But I mean, it was messy. It was not a good game. Tom Brady doesn't, they got the win, sure, but they're acting like he just came back from 35, 28-0 in the Super Bowl or something. Because they're just like, that's just what Tom Brady does. I'm like, any NFL quarterback, you give them that soft of coverage, can probably make it if they're, an above average quarterback. So let's pump the brakes on the whole Brady is the best. Look at what Brady did again. He's just so awesome. This team, if they keep playing like this, is going to get they're not going to make the playoffs. It's just that simple. I don't know. Right now, if they play the Falcons again, the Falcons win, I don't think they're making the playoffs. Yeah, Derrick Henry was an absolute monster in the first half of this game. He was literally he was averaging, I think, 10 yards a carry into the end of the first half. I think that's what they said on Sunday night. 10 yards a carry. Guy was absolutely demolishing people. And I get, there were some drives in the Titans where they started out, they give Derrick Henry the ball, he gets 5 yards or holding penalties, 1st and 20. But they just take Derrick Henry out of the game and just put in Dontrell Hilliard or their other third down back every get who's 25. And it was just horrible. Like, it was just like, why do you take Derrick Henry out of the game on 1st down and then just surprise, surprise, you then monitor to pass. Malik Willis doesn't have it. Like, it's 1st and 20. Run Derrick Henry. Run Derrick Henry 3 times. Because what they did on offense, they just 3 and outed literally the entire second half. That's all they did. The defense got really tired, and you're playing a team like the Chiefs. You don't have to do everything in the world. But give Derrick Henry a shot. I mean, he's dominating the team just because you're backed up on 1st down. Stop giving up on – they gave up on the run, literally. They just decided to let Malik Willis try to run around and make plays, which he's shown no ability to do to this point. So why would you trust your rookie quarterback to suddenly start making big plays and converting on first and 20s? Run the ball with Derrick Henry, see if somebody messes up and just dominate and eat some clock because you know that's what the Chiefs don't want to happen is you to eat up most of the clock. I mean, someone will probably get not want to tackle Derrick Henry and he'll break one. He was already defeating the Chiefs defense. They were tired. Imagine doing that again for an entire half. Some big play is going to break eventually. Letting Malik Willis just get absolutely cannibalized, not it was so frustrating to watch. I've never watched a second half, and I also have Derrick Henry in fantasy, so maybe that added a little bit of frustration. But the man got 20 yards, I think, in the second half. That's unacceptable, especially when they were up. They were dominating in the run game in the first half. They just gave up. So they deserve to lose that game. That's a big thing. If you're Mike Vrabel walking away from this game, you got to go in that press conference and just go, "We blew it." I mean, it's that simple. Like it's on me. It's on the coaching staff. We uh, we got too built up in situational game planning instead of just looking past the eye test and seeing what was working on the field. So yeah, I mean, the Titans keep doing bonehead and they do this stuff, and they did it last year. It's why they lost to the Bengals last year, right? They give the ball to the quarterback, and they just keep doing this cutesy stuff because they're in their own backfield, and they're like, well, most running backs, I'd agree, you can't run it on first and 20. You can't, you know, you don't get anything on first and 20. You can't just run it on second and 20. But you got Derrick Henry. You don't have a normal running back. Just do something. Do at least something and get yourself, at least you'll get some yards. They'll probably play soft. Derrick Henry might end up getting 10 yards on one play. And then it's third and 10 and it's manageable instead of just going first and 20, second and 20, third and 20, punt the ball. Just doesn't work. Like, like if I was going into the playoffs right now as a playoff team, 100% I would pick the Tennessee Titans to be the team to play right now, I think, like in my eyes. Not because I know Derrick Henry concerns me, but for some reason, this coaching staff just forgets they have him anytime they get backed up at all. And it's actually amazing that a coaching staff with such a good weapon, one that's better than pretty much anything else, there's nothing comparable to him in modern football. It's the inverse of what everyone else does. But the moment that they get into a less than favorable position, they get scared and they just literally drop it. And it's a big thing we talk about the run game and why it's so hard to be competitive in it. But you got to commit to it, and they don't with Derrick Henry. So it's like I pretty much for them to win playoff games, they have to be ahead the whole time, and they can never get into like a first and 20 or something. Because as soon as they get into they have a holding penalty on first down, they're going to punt the ball because the quarterback's probably not completing anything. They don't have AJ Brown anymore. The receivers aren't very good. It's just Derrick Henry, who even when you think he should get the ball, they don't. They just let the quarterback. And it's like if you think this is just a Malik Willis problem, Ryan Tannehill is marginally better at this point in his career, if really that much better, because he's not any more athletic and can't use his legs. But anything, they should just let Malik Willis do some read options. That's what I would have done if I were the Titans. If I was that bent on, making things a little more easy for my quarterback, I'd put Derrick Henry out there and I'd try to fake the ball, do a play action, and make something happen. Because a lot of teams are going to bite on Derrick Henry, even if it's first and 20. Yeah, Andy Dalton's good for a spot start here and there, but he should not be your starting quarterback. I really Jameis has to be pretty hurt. I know he was, especially with the back injury and things. And if he's that hurt, just put him on IR and be done with it. But like to have him sit there on the bench with Andy Dalton starting, it's just like an insult. At least with Jameis, you know you have at least something. The guy's got a rocket arm. He's going to throw some touchdowns. He's going to throw some interceptions, but at least he's there. Andy Dalton's not really going to get you much of anything on offense. He's just a placeholder to hand off the ball to Alvin Kamara. That's all he really is. So the Ravens, I don't think they're as good as you think they are, but they have the easiest, like second easiest schedule going the rest of the way. Lamar could turn it on, and I mean they could. I mean, there's a path to the Super Bowl for sure. They're a lock to make it the playoffs. They're pretty much a lock to win the AFC North at this point. But yeah, I mean, just absolutely. My dog is going crazy. I mean, it's just a straight up path, and then there's not much to really debate about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just that simple. Are they better than are they really that much better than the back? Like that's the thing. They're a flawed team. I don't think they're a perfect team by any means. I think they can sometimes get away from Lamar, or they just start getting in this like the Titans. The Titans seem to outthink themselves at times and not do what they do best. The Ravens with Lamar Jackson seem to do the same thing sometimes. Instead of playing to his strengths, they do this weird. He just sits in the pocket, even though it's not working in that game because the receivers aren't there right now, and Mark Andrews gets covered up, and then there's just the hole they get themselves into, and again, they very well. No team in the NFL this year I've learned is perfect. Nobody's like really as great. The Bills have flaws. Now with Josh Allen a little hurt, who knows how much that's going to affect them. They've been kind of going downhill. The Chiefs, definitely not unbeatable. The Titans just played them hard. And, I mean, really the offense, I mean, basically there's a formula that seems to be forming with the Chiefs. And I'll go into this even though we're a little bit past this game. If you basically just play contain on one edge and you rush from the other, as long as you don't let Patrick Mahomes run out of the pocket and do some kind of rollout and fling the ball across his body to make some kind of crazy acrobat play, and you cover Travis Kelce, you're going to be in a decent spot. Because a lot of the stuff that he does is when plays break down. It's like Aaron Rodgers in his prime. That's where stuff breaks down, and that's what makes it so hard to beat. But if you can contain him and not let him run out of the pocket like that and do things with his legs, and more importantly, let him do something big with his arm because somebody gets past you because coverage breaks down after a couple seconds, you're in a shot to win the game. They don't have a running game. The Ravens, again, not a complete team either, but it really is going to come down to who can get healthy and sometimes who can get out of their own way in this AFC playoff picture. Because I mean that's going to be the big thing. It's just going to be which team is going to really coach and play their strengths, and which teams are going to do boneheaded things like the Titans did on Sunday night. And instead of playing the brand of football they know they're good at and playing their strength, they're going to try to play something else based off of what they think they're supposed to do in this situation. So hopefully these teams learn their lessons. It's still midway through the season, but there's a lot of football to be played, and there's a lot of things to still figure out with this AFC playoff picture. Yeah, and I mean, you look at the AFC playoff picture. There's probably 9 teams for 7 spots in the AFC. You've got probably the Ravens in the north, you've got the Titans in the south, Chiefs in the west, and you probably have the Bills in the east. Wild cards, you probably have the Dolphins there, are pretty much a lock, I think, at this point. And from there, you probably have Chargers and Jets, Bengals, and then you probably have the Patriots are also like the last man in. They're the bubble team, like the ultimate bubble team right now. They play the Bengals in Foxborough. Basically, if the Patriots lose one or two more games, and if they lose to the Bengals in Foxborough, they're out. So, that's again. There's a couple games before that. There's a lot of games to be played. You can't really just rule out Bill Belichick. They could go on a run, win some games you're not expecting them to, just because they're well coached. But really, they're kind of the last. Those in my eyes, there's 5 teams fighting for 3 wild cards. And one of those teams, I think, is going to fall off and has to play a lot of these other teams I think they're going to lose against. But at the same time, they're supposed to lose, but I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if they go on a run. So if the Patriots fall down, we really have 4 teams. And, the Dolphins probably are looking the best. So I think they're a lock. So from there, we got who's going to come out of the ashes of, are the Jets for real? Are the Jets going to stick around the entire season? I don't know. Chargers. All the talent in the world, a lot of injuries, and the coach seems to make the most weird, dumb decisions based off whatever analytics tell him to do. So they are somehow 5-3. They don't feel 5-3 when I look at them. Bengals are 5-4. Bengals have one of the toughest schedules as well, so it's not going to be pretty. But if they can win, if they can beat the Steelers out of their bye, they get healthy, they beat the Steelers, they can beat the Browns. They can bounce back against those two. Maybe they can beat the Titans. Maybe they can beat Tampa Bay. Bills, Kansas City. Maybe they win one of those games. Maybe they beat the Ravens at the end of the season if the Ravens have already locked up the North and are benching their players, or they just win it outright. There's options, but they have the toughest road, but they also have a team that's been there and has gotten hot in the past. It's just there's just so many factors. It's hard to predict, but all I know is you look outside of basically once you get past the Patriots, that's highest winning teams, the Colts. They're hired Jeff Saturday. We already went over that. That's not going to work. Broncos, is Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett finally going to figure out how to run this team? Probably not. And those are probably the next 2 teams. And that those two aren't really even in the discussion. So it really just show you we know where pretty much everybody who's going to be in the picture, except for the fringe. There's a very interesting fringe. And honestly, whoever the 7 teams that make it in the AFC, it's going to be a tough call at this point. I thought the Bills had it, like I said. But again, this elbow injury with Josh Allen really makes me rethink that. I don't think the Chiefs are unbeatable. I don't think the Chiefs are really that good, as I saw in the Titans game. They can be beat. Everybody in the AFC has weaknesses, and everybody in the AFC, for some reason, can also get in their own way and cost themselves games. So there's the Bills were the closest to an elite team. Some people like the Chiefs. I'm not high on them. And from there, like you said, you have the Ravens. Ravens are pretty good in a lot of ways. Titans, maybe Derrick Henry just runs over people. Dolphins, Tua's look great. The Dolphins, everyone has a path for sure. If you make the AFC playoff, I swear pretty much any team that probably makes the AFC playoffs besides probably the New York Jets, sorry to all those New York fans out there, any of those other teams, if they get healthy and they make the playoffs, any of them could go on a run. I honestly believe that. So a lot of football to be played. I did say besides the Jets. I did not believe in the Jets. Yep, 2 weeks ago, and they're playing again somehow on a Thursday night, so they've literally played each other. It's been 10 days? 10 or it'll be 11 days since their last matchup, I think. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I gotta go with the Atlanta Falcons. They have Cordell Patterson back, which adds another dynamic. They have a good running team. I think they'll play better than they did last game. Honestly, they pretty much beat the Panthers last time, except for they lost contain on DJ Moore on a big play. So they're definitely not going to let that happen again. And the Panthers just got beat down. I mean, they got absolutely deflated in that Falcons loss. Then they just got absolutely pummeled by the Bengals a week later. Now they're coming playing on a short week, and they're probably just. I mean, at this point, you get that interim head coach, you get that spark, you beat the Rams, and from there you get disheartening loss, and then get absolutely walloped. I think that's the point where the players just start to pack it in as well, and everyone just goes, "Let's just get ready for the long second half of the season." Are you allowed to call it a quarterback controversy when it's two journeyman quarterbacks and the team has 2 wins? Yeah, I guess it's just not much of a debate. It's one of those debates no one cares about. Yep. Um, the only thing that scares me is Seattle has to go a lot further, but it's still they're going the opposite way. Look at them. Who would have thought? I guess they're coming from Florida. You're right. Man, I gotta take some geography lessons. Google the distances. Are they playing in a dome or is it outdoor? I think it's a soccer stadium, right? Or Bayern Munich one. Ah, cool. I'm gonna go Seahawks. I don't know why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are favored. Like, honestly, can somebody tell me? Like, does anyone have an answer? Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm not super. It's a Munich game. It's a Europe game, so who the hell knows what's gonna happen? But at the same time, it's just kind of insulting that the Seahawks are having a much better season than the Buccaneers, have played better to this point, have shown a lot more promise on both sides of the ball, and then somehow the Bucks just get 2.5 points on a neutral field. That's just stupid. Didn't they score one touchdown last week? Yeah, yeah, and they're back. All you had to do is score one touchdown, you're back, everybody. Yeah, if Josh Allen is less than, I'd say, I mean, it's hard to say. Josh Allen doesn't play, the Vikings are going to win this game. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to pick the Vikings for sure then. Even if Josh Allen plays, I don't think that's the wisest medical decision for the Bills. unless truly this is one of the most minor UCL sprains I've ever seen. Which at that point he won't be 100%, and I mean all bets are off at that point. Like, what is it like? 80% Josh Allen probably wins the game, probably covers a small spread. But if we're talking, 60% Josh Allen, who's not really able to zip the ball down, who's kind of not as mobile because he's, trying to nurse his injury, I don't know how effective that's going to be. So I'm picking the Vikings. If Josh Allen is close to 100%, I'd pick the Bills here, but I just can't trust it. He's gonna revenge. The Minnesota Miracle Man back again. Give me the Bears to win and cover. I'm really impressed now they learned to use Justin Fields last week. Hopefully they keep that up, and I just think the Bears have kind of are playing well right now, and I don't really trust the Lions to do that much. So Bears to win and cover. Yep, give me that. Just win and cover. Maybe Trevor Lawrence has a decent game, but I mean, I just don't think they're ready for the kind of offense that Pat Mahomes can bring. And I don't think they're going to be disciplined enough on defense to really limit those plays because the tape's out there. Anyone who doesn't think it is, like, you can beat the Chiefs. There is a literal, very easy roadmap to beat the Chiefs. It's just really how disciplined you stay. It's like beating the triple option. You just got to be smart. Everyone does their job. You're not going to limit everything, but you can stall them out. And sometimes Patrick Mahomes gets confused, and from there, I mean, that gives you a real opportunity to land that knockout punch. Just scoring a couple of touchdowns on offense. That's how, it's never going to be an easy win. It's never going to be simple, but it's about just maintaining discipline there. It's the same thing with you can beat the Bengals if you pressure with four. You can pressure with four, you drop everyone into coverage, you can win against the Bengals. It's pretty simple. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to beat the Chiefs. But Jaguars just do not have the talent, discipline, young quarterback. It's a lot to ask. I think the Chiefs win and they win big. Give me the Dolphins to win and cover here. I mean, the Browns, they beat the hell out of the Bengals before their bye week. I think they're going to be feeling really good about themselves, but at the end of the day, this team still has a lot of problems. They beat a team on Monday night in their stadium. They're going to Miami. Dolphins are playing really well. They're playing really good football. Um, you know, I think they're going to try their best to limit Nick Chubb and force Jacoby Brissett to make plays. And I think the secondary of the Dolphins is going to give a lot of trouble to Jacoby Brissett. So give me the Dolphins to win and cover. This is kind of a travesty of a spread, if you ask me. Which is more justified, the Tom Brady hype for Tom Brady is back hype or the Browns are back hype? Give me the Titans to win and cover here. If they do what they if they can run the ball with Derrick Henry, and it sounds asinine that we have to say it like this. And I feel bad because I know Mike Vrabel is a great football coach and has a great mind for the game and can do it better than any armchair quarterback like me could ever do it. But sometimes I'm just like, good Lord, man, just do it, just commit to it, just please stop hurting me inside internally. Run the ball with Derrick Henry. Do not let Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill. I don't give a shit who it is back there. I don't care if Mike Vrabel himself, you know, straps on a chin strap and just goes for it. Give the ball to Derrick Henry and do not throw it unless it is just an absolutely ridiculous passing down. Or you're doing a play action that's probably everyone's going to bite on because Derrick Henry is having a good game at this point. So please play to your strengths. If the Titans can play to their strengths, they will win this game. The Broncos offense is terrible. Like it's just beyond bad. They don't even have Nick Chubb on defense anymore. Still a lot of pieces there, but their game's all about really defending the pass. If they can really, Derrick Henry against them, the rushing defense isn't elite. It's their passing you have to worry about, and in this game they're not going to have to worry about that because honestly, take the air out of the ball. Love of God, if you're the Titans, do not let them attempt throws unless you have just absolutely dominated them. And everyone's if it's not play action, don't do it. Yep. Um, yeah, I'm going. Believe it or not, I'm going Steelers. Steelers at home. Andy Dalton is starting the game, I believe. Yeah, I mean, until they decide differently, which could be at any time. You never know. If Andy Dalton's starting, I don't trust him. He's never been really that good against the Steelers to begin with. I'm picking the Steelers for almost that exclusive reason. Andy Dalton going to Heinz Field, not a good combo for them. Hmm. Yeah, give me the Giants to win and cover. To be honest, going into the season, I thought the talent levels between the Giants and Houston, Giants maybe a little better, more talented, but then, Brian Daboll showed us all how an amazing coach he is. So they're going to win this game by a good margin. So winning cover for the Giants. Yeah. I guess I got to go Raiders. The Raiders will win this game. Money line, I have no doubt about that. The Raiders will win. When it comes to the spread, who the hell knows? I mean, we got a new guy calling plays. I don't. The Raiders can't really game plan for it because no one knows what the hell is going to come out of a guy who's never really called plays. Like if you're the Raiders and I'm the coaching staff, I know Josh McDaniels probably won't do this because he's a terrible head coach. But I would really, use the poster board material Jeff Saturday gave you already this year, and also, I would limit expectations. Make sure no one in that locker room is going, "This guy's never coached a game. We've got this in the bag." Because somebody in the locker room is going to say that, and a lot of those guys are going to be thinking it. And the reality is, you got to go look. We don't know what these guys are going to throw at us. We have absolutely, really no idea because we've never seen they haven't ever coached, and a lot of times that is a weakness, but it's also a strength because we don't know what to plan for. Like you can plan off of what the Colts have been doing, but clearly they're probably going to put their own flair onto what goes on. So I think the Raiders still cover, but this could be just a very sloppy, just ridiculous game. So, maybe they should just throw in like a rainstorm if it somehow wasn't in a dome, because I believe it's in Indianapolis. So, just open the roof up. Let's get a giant rainstorm, and let's just make this the most fun, sloppy, ridiculous game of football we could find. Well, hopefully, that somehow the desert drought ends. That is correct. Like I said, you just got to believe. Will the team suggest a coach swap at halftime? Change the scenery for both. Like a true kind of Raider pirate like mutiny. I like it. Honestly, do you think the Raiders, Colts, do you think if people live bet, and basically pick the plays live, that would have a better chance of that team would have a better chance of winning versus actual coaches doing it? Like you just did it like Madden style. Like you just went on your phone, you picked the play. You think they'd have a better shot? Right. I mean, it's Vegas. Anything can happen. Arizona Cardinals, because as much as a nuclear meltdown it seems to be every game, at least they like argue with each other. The Rams, you just sit there and just go, I don't know what the hell this team's doing. Nobody seems to give a shit. Like, it's just that simple. Aaron Donald barely seems to be much of a force anymore. Jalen Ramsey, has some good plays. And other times he just gets straight up run over. Um, and then, I mean, Matt Stafford's just a ghost out there, and Cooper Cup pretty much has to get 200 yards for this offense to look feasible. So at least the Cardinals can move the ball and have more than just DeAndre Hopkins. They have Zach Ertz. They have some other weapons. And I think they play more, believe it or not, somehow as more of a cohesive, workable football team than the Rams are right now. Because the Rams are starting to get on that edge of dysfunctional, like they aren't able to operate like as a functional team. That's where they're at. And a lot of that has to do with injuries. I'm not saying it's coaching. There's a lot of things that didn't bounce their way, but I mean, they just it's not pretty at all. And at least the Cardinals, you can go like, I mean, if they stopped fighting with each other, and Kyler Murray, maybe canceled his Xbox Live subscription, they might be a decent football team. That's it? Okay, give me the Cowboys to win and cover. What in God's I mean, I think Micah Parsons may end Aaron Rodgers' career at this rate. Like, he's just gonna throw him to the turf so many damn times. It is. I made a lot of money off of betting the Packers in these games for the years. And I'm telling you right now, I would not do that at all this year. Do not do it, because for everyone who is a Cowboy hater or just someone who in general is just like, yeah, the Cowboys are probably going to blow this and they're overhyped. This is not that time. Don't do it. 7? Jesus. Okay. Give me the 49ers to win, but I can't take a 7-point spread with a team that barely has an offense outside Christian McCaffrey. It's in a rainstorm. Good Lord. Yeah. Eagles are winning cover. Commanders suck. Like, Tara Heineke makes things a little better, but I mean, the Eagles are just a really good football team. And the Commanders, I don't think have any answers to anything that the Philadelphia offense is going to throw at them. And I feel like it's just going to be a nightmare for the Commanders offense, too. I feel like the Eagles secondary is going to pick off a few passes, and the Commanders won't be able to move the ball. Now I think we covered it all. See you guys.